So the option 1 given is 1 by 2. Option 2 is given as 1. Option 3 is given as 1 by 3. Option 4 is given as 2. When the question asks me is alpha, beta are different complex numbers with mod beta equal to 1, and ask you to calculate this value, and in options there is no alpha, there is no beta. That means whatever alpha, beta you take satisfying this condition, you will get the same answer. Whatever alpha, beta you take satisfying these two conditions, you will get the same answer. And the fact that every real number is a complex number, if you keep that in your mind, you can't take beta according to your wish. Beta should be taken as a complex number whose magnitude is 1. So 1 is also a complex number whose magnitude is 1. That's why we took beta equal to 1. Always we'll take a simple numbers when we have a choice of choosing any number. Beta, we have a choice of choosing any number whose magnitude is 1. That's why we took the simple number with the magnitude 1 as 1. And alpha, we are choosing as 0. Sometimes we won't choose 0. Why? Suppose in the given expression we have alpha in the denominator. If you take the denominator 0, then that won't be defined. In those cases, we won't take denominator equal to 0. Right? In that cases, we take some other number. So when you're substituting alpha equal to 0, we are not getting any denominator 0 or something. That's why we can take like that. So when you take beta equal to 1 and alpha equal to 0, you got this expression value is 1. Right? Elimination method we call. If the answer is 1 by 2, for any value of alpha and beta, you should get 1 by 2. But for one particular value of alpha and beta, it satisfies the condition you are not getting 1 by 2 means 1 by 2 is a wrong answer. 1 by 3 is a wrong answer because you're not getting 1 by 3 for one set of values. 2 is a wrong answer because you're not getting 2 for one set of wrong values. So with this values method, you can never identify the correct answer. You can never identify the correct answer. With the values method, you can identify the wrong answers because these three options are not satisfying these three are wrong answers. So automatically when you identify 3 wrong answers, the 4th one should be the correct answer. Like that we are getting the correct answer. That's why we're calling this as elimination method, eliminating the wrong options. In other words, suppose if mod beta minus alpha by 1 minus alpha bar beta equal to 1 by 2. Suppose this is true. Suppose the first option is the correct answer. Then for a beta equal to 1, alpha equal to 0 also, this value should be equal to 1 by 2, right? But for that particular set of values, beta equal to 1 and alpha equal to 0, this value is not equal to 1 by 2. Means we can't agree that for all values of alpha beta satisfying this condition, 1 by 2 is the correct answer. So with these values, we identified that 1 by 2 cannot be the value of this for every alpha beta satisfying this. So 1 by 2 is the wrong answer. Similar to that, we are identifying the third statement. Third statement is what? The meaning of the third option is correct is equal to 1 by 3 for all alpha comma beta such that mod beta equal to 1. So this also failed because for one set of values, this value is not equal to 1 by 3. So that's also wrong. Similarly, fourth one is also wrong because 1, 3, 4 are wrong and second option must be correct.
So you wrote x square plus x plus 1, not x square minus x.
Yeah, they are given alpha is the root of x square minus x plus 1. But omega and omega square are the roots of x square plus x plus 1 equal to 0.
So the middle term, the sign is wrong. That's the thing.
No. This is the given information and I'm writing a property.
Okay, sorry, sir.
So the given equation roots are minus omega and minus omega square. Therefore, minus omega the whole power two 2011 go to minus omega power 2011 is 2010 plus 1. 2010 is a 3 multiple, so minus omega. But minus omega is nothing but the alpha. Basically, alpha equal to minus omega. And so minus omega is nothing but alpha. The root is.
So I think I can figure it out.
Cube roots of unity. Cube roots of unity means the roots of x cube equal to 1 equation. If x cube equal to 1, that implies x is equal to cube root of 1, right? But when you're writing cube root of 1, we are writing only the real roots. So if you see the x cube equal to 1 equation, because it's cubic equation, we should have 3 roots. What we are writing x is equal to cube root is 1 is not wrong, this is correct. But we are writing only one root of it. So how we get the other 2 roots means x cube minus 1 can be written as x minus 1 into x square plus x plus 1. So x cube minus 1 equal to 0 implies x minus 1 into x square plus x plus 1 equal to 0. So x is equal to 1 or x square plus x plus 1 equal to 0. So x square plus x plus 1 equal to 0 means if you use the quadratic formula, you get x is equal to minus 1 plus minus root 3i by 2. You know what is root 3i? You get root of minus 3, that can be written as root 3i. So we call this, the mathematicians name that root minus 1 plus root 3i by 2 as omega. And it is not naming the second one as omega square. If you square this number, you get this minus 1 minus root 3i by 2. The other root, the 2 roots are minus 1 plus root 3i by 2 and minus 1 minus root 3i by 2. But they have a relation that the second root you get by squaring the first root. That's why instead of giving 2 different names, they're giving a name as omega for this. Automatically the other one is omega. Hence the cube roots of 1 are 1 omega omega square. This is the concept, the cube roots of unity. But we need to write the conclusions also. I'll give some conclusions. What are those conclusions from here? If you see, because 1 is the root of this equation, you see 1 and omega, omega square, all the 3 are roots of x cube minus 1. Because 1 is the root of that and omega is the root of that, omega cube equal to 1. Because omega satisfies this equation. So omega cube is equal to 1. It's a very important, useful property. That's what we used actually here. Omega cube is equal to 1. Like how we have the sequence for the I powers. How we have a sequence for the I powers. I power 2, I power 3, I power 4, I power 5, I power 6. There is a cyclic order for I powers. Same way, there is a cyclic order for omega powers. Omega cube is equal to 1. And also, omega is a root of this equation. If you see this, Omega is a root of this equation. So this omega will satisfy this equation also. That means omega, okay, let us start with 1. Usually the property is written in that way. That's why 1 plus omega square equal to 0. So these two are the very useful properties we use frequently. Omega cube is equal to 1. 1 plus omega square is equal to 1. And also omega value also will remember, because sometimes in problems it is useful if you could identify this number as omega. 1 plus root 3i by 2 minus 1 plus root 3i by 2 is omega value, right? And yeah, and also omega square are the roots of this. That's what, whatever I wrote here, this point. Omega square are roots of x square plus x plus 1. And if you remember that topic that we learned from quadratic expressions, you replace x with minus x, you get this equation. That means roots should be multiplied with minus. So equation with omega square is this, then equation with minus omega square is f of minus x. X should be replaced with minus x. If you replace x with minus x, you get this equation. That means minus omega square are the roots of the equation. We already know that minus omega and minus omega square are the roots of this equation. But in the question, they are given that alpha is a root of this equation, x square minus x plus 1. Then you should realize that alpha is nothing but minus omega. If you realize that alpha is nothing but minus omega, you will understand that alpha is a root of this equation. The minus omega is the root of this equation. Alpha value is minus omega. Once you identify the fact that alpha value is minus omega, use that, substitute that alpha is equal to minus omega in it. Minus omega whole power 2011 equal to minus power odd number is minus again. Omega power 2011 can be written as omega power 2010 plus 1. Omega power 2010 plus 1. That equal to omega power 2010 is what? 2010 is a 3 multiple. How I identified? I added all the digits in it. 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 0 is 3. So 2010 is a 3 multiple. So here omega power 3 is 1. Omega power 3n equal to 1. Like how in I powers you have I power 4n equal to 1. Here omega power 3n equal to 1. So this is omega power 3n. I skipped one step in middle. What is that? Minus omega power 2010 into omega power 1. Omega power 2010 is 1 because it's a 3 multiple. The power is a 3 multiple. That's why I wrote directly minus omega. But minus omega is nothing but alpha. The options are in terms of alpha. So the alpha is the answer.
Wait, sir, I didn't understand the fifth question. Sure, sir.
See, you guessed it as the first option, but it is wrong.
Okay, because the other one also will change signs. Understood, sir.
Yeah. See, if you see x plus iy, 1 minus, the given information is the conjugate of x plus iy into this is equal to 1 plus I. This is the given exact given information. And you have a property, conjugate of z1, z2 is conjugate of z1 into conjugate of z2. So that's what we did here. And after that, the conjugate of x plus iy is x minus iy. And conjugate of 1 minus 2i is 1 plus 2i. 1 plus 2i goes to the other side. So now if you compare this with the first option, that is the denominator is different, it is wrong. So now to compare that with the other options, no, sorry, is this, yeah. Now I need to compare this with the other options. Yeah, because the second option is in that form. What I will do is, I will take the, instead of simplifying like this, okay, I'll take the conjugate on both sides from here. To verify the second option, instead of finding the x value and I value, I take conjugate on both sides. If I take conjugate on both sides, this will be x plus iy. And the conjugate on both sides, if I take, this will be the conjugate of 1 minus I by 1 minus 2i. I'm skipping many steps. If you know the properties, that is useful. The conjugate of z1 by z2, conjugate of z1 by z2. The properties that I'm using here are, here I used that z1 z2 conjugate is conjugate of z1 into conjugate of z2, and z1 by z2, the whole conjugate, equal to z1 conjugate by z2 conjugate.
Okay. So it follows like the rules of indices, right? Basically.
It's kind of that, yeah.
Sort of like that, yeah.
Yeah. But you need to remember these two as separate formulas. Like these are similar to these modulus formulas. Even the mod z1 z2 in complex numbers is also mod z1 into mod z2, and the mod z1 by z2. These two modulus and conjugate properties we use frequently when you're doing the objective problems. So they simplify the calculation a lot. See how simple we got, like the second option correct just by taking the conjugate on both sides. Otherwise, you need to convert this into a plus ib form and get the x value, y value, and break your head. So now directly we got the second option is the correct answer. That's the end. If z is equal to x plus iy, you convert this into r cos theta plus I sin theta. You convert z is equal to x plus iy into r into cos theta plus I sin theta form. Then r is called modulus and theta is argument. And this form of this complex number is called modulus argument form or modulus amplitude form. Theta is argument or amplitude. And we have a restriction for the amplitude that should always lie between, it can never be equal to minus pi, it can be equal to the pi. So the minus pi less than theta is less than or equal to pi. This is the condition for the amplitude. And we have some direct formulas also to get the modulus and amplitude. So the r is, if it is in the form of x plus iy, you can directly get the r is equal to root of x square plus y square. And the theta, we have the descriptive means you'll use the equating them into two equations and then solving them. Objective, we can directly use this formula. What is the tan inverse mod y by x? If the z belongs to first quadrant.
So
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
If I simplify this case here, okay, if I simplify the expression in the first question, it will become 1.
Yeah. I know that for that particular question, it is easy, but I'm just giving the concept because you're not very clear about it. And after that, any other question comes similar to this, you'll be able to do. Yeah.
So I understood. I went through the notes at the beginning of the chapter just now.
Yeah.
And it says like r is the position vector or the distance between P and O, or like the distance or the magnitude of it, and theta is the angle between the plane and the line.
Angle between the x-axis and the line. Yeah.
Yeah.
If z belongs to the Q2 and equal to minus pi plus tan inverse mod y by x, if Z belongs to Q3 equal to minus tan inverse mod y by x if Z belongs to Q4. This looks like 4 different cases, 4 different formulas, but it is easy to remember. If you see the tan inverse y by x, the first case, second case is pi minus of the first case. Second case is pi minus of the first case. And third case is the negative of the second case. Just multiply with minus to the second case, you get the third case. And fourth case is the negative of the first case. Just multiply the first case with minus. So basically first and second cases, if you remember, third and fourth are the negatives of second and first respectively. And also second case is pi minus of the first case.
So how do we divide complex numbers?
Rationalize the denominator. Dividing one with another means.
Okay, understood. Yes, sir. Yeah, understood.
See, what I did here is I used that property which we discussed in the last problem. The mod Z1 into Z2 square. I'll just write exactly the form in which it is present by Z3 square. So using this property mod Z1 Z2 is mod Z1 into mod Z2 and mod Z1 by Z2 is mod Z1 by mod Z2. I can write this as mod.
Okay, understood, sir.
Yeah, mod Z1 into mod Z2 whole square by mod Z3 the whole square. Then automatically the first one is with root. Second one and third one, because the square is there, I'm writing without the root because after that anyway I need to square it. So under root 1 square plus 1 square whole square and under root 2 square plus 1 square the whole square. Yeah, this is the one which I used. See this, the moment I see the options, 2 of them are numbers and 2 power n, 2 power 2n. There is no need of solving it in a general method. You can substitute n is equal to 1. If n is equal to 1, I get 2 power 1. This has 2 and this has 4. My all 4 options are different. For the values which I considered, my all 4 options are different. So that is an advantage. I can eliminate the 3 wrong options with n is equal to 1. When I substituted n is equal to 1, the question becomes this, and so on, 2n factors. That means 2 into 1, 2 factors. So you need to take 2 factors in the product for n is equal to 1. That's why I took only 2 factors, the first 2 factors. Now in the calculation, what I used is, I used this property 1 plus omega square is equal to 0. And here 1 and omega square together, I wrote as minus omega. And I copied the minus omega as it is. And then 1 plus omega square together, I wrote as minus omega. Similarly,
yes.
Similarly, from this, again, this omega power 3 is equal to 1. So 1 plus omega power 4 will becomes 1 plus omega. Omega, oh, I think I made a mistake. Omega power 4 is omega. Yeah, but still I ended up with the correct answer, I guess. I don't know. But is omega power 4 is omega. Omega power 4 is omega. 1 plus omega, yes. I did correctly. So omega power 4 is omega. 1 plus omega is minus omega square. Yeah, I did correctly only. Confused. So 1 plus omega can be written as, see, omega power 4 I wrote as omega, because omega power 4 is omega cube into omega, which is omega. And this one minus omega square I copied as it is. 1 plus omega square, 1 plus omega I copied as minus omega square. Then I get minus 2 omega, minus omega, minus 2 omega, minus omega square, minus 2 omega square. Again, I use the property that omega cube is equal to 1. Omega into omega square, omega cube 1, minus 2 into minus 2 is 4. So whenever they ask the locus of the point, that means P is a point satisfying this condition. So there won't be one single point. Of course, sometimes one point also. There won't be some set of points satisfying this equation, this condition. Basically, whatever the condition they are given. So there will be set of points satisfying this condition. If you join all the points satisfy this condition, there will be a geometrical figure formed. What kind of geometrical figure that is? Whether it is a hyperbola, ellipse, circle, straight line. That's what the question asked me. Right now, we don't know what is hyperbola, ellipse, and circle. If it is required, we know straight lines. At least like we know this linear equation in 2 variables is a line equation. Suppose if you are not getting a straight line, then we can worry about what is hyperbola, ellipse, and circle. As it is not a multi-correct answer type question, let us first simplify by substituting z is equal to x plus iy. I substituted z is equal to x plus iy. And after substituting z is equal to x plus iy, I use the property mod z1 by z2. See, almost in every alternate problem, we are using this mod z1 by mod z2. That's what we did. And after that, I sent the denominator to the other side. In that process, I wrote the real parts together and imaginary parts together. If you see that, the calculation itself. Now, the mod x plus iy formula is there. What is that? Under root x square plus y square. So I can square on both sides so that I'll get mod square. So there is no need of writing the square root. Otherwise, instead of writing the square here, you can write the square root here, and next step you can cancel square on both sides also. Anything is fine. Now the mod x plus iv is under root x square plus y square. Use the same formula, x minus 1 the whole square, the real part square plus imaginary part square, and here also that. After that, this is a minus b whole square and a plus b whole square formulas and simplification. After simplification, we got a linear equation in two variables, which represents a straight line we know very well. So that becomes the answer. So as you said, the reason behind starting with the least one is the question asked is the least positive integer. If one doesn't satisfy, then you'll go for 2, and that doesn't satisfy, you'll go for 3. That doesn't satisfy, you need not to go for 4. You just can pick the answer as 4 because it's a single correct answer. But this kind of problems, you need to convert this into the polar form. We have a De Moivre's theorem called cis theta is short form of cos theta plus I sin theta. Okay, I'll write the full form only so that you will be confused. Cos theta plus I sin theta, the whole power n, equal to cos n theta plus I sin n theta. This is what De Moivre's theorem. So very useful one. So using that, you can reduce the powers and all. So how we do that here means you take this -1 plus I root 3. You try to write this in polar form. If you write this in polar form, you need to divide with the root of 1 square plus 3 square, root 3 square. Basically, that is 2. Multiply and divide with that, -1 by 2 plus I into root 3 by 2. So that becomes 2 into, you need to write cos and sine form. Sine theta is root 3 by 2, cos theta is -1 by 2. Sine positive, cos negative, that is in second coordinate, and sine 2 pi by 3, and even cos 2 pi by 3 will also give this. So I'm writing directly because in trigonometry, I know full trigonometry. Of course, you don't know the full trigonometry. After doing the full trigonometry, you'll be able to do this directly. For now, just accept this as it is. Sine 2 pi by 3, right? And then, yeah, this is what you get. So the x plus iy equal to this -1 plus root 3 is this 2 times of cos 2 pi by 3 plus I sine 2 pi by 3, the whole power 2010. Of course, this whole power. Then you can write this as 2 power 2010 into cos 2 times of 2010, 4 times of 4020 pi by 3 plus I sine 4020 pi by 3. And what is this? 2 power 2010 into 4020 is a 3 multiple. And if you divide this, what you get? Cos 3 times 3 one time, 1 3 is a 3, 10, 3 times, 3 3 is a 9, 12, 4, 0, and pi plus I sine the same number 1340 pi, right? So any even multiple of pi can be replaced with 0. So this is cos 0 plus I sine 0. Cos 0 plus I sine 0 is 1. So the 2 power 2010.
So it becomes 3i minus 1 by 2, whole by 2.
Plus 2i square by 2. So this is minus 2, 1 plus 1, minus 1 plus 3i by 2. By 2 doesn't matter. Only, yeah, x negative, y positive, second quadrant. Third option. How do you see? You got this 1 point root 3 comma I. Root 3 is around here. Root 3 is here around here. Root 3 comma I is here. And origin is 1 point. And that whole right angle isosceles. So this can be here. And right angle at O. So 1 is this P point. Root 3 comma 1. So the other one should be here, or the other one can be here also. The other one can be here also. So the other point can be in second quadrant or fourth quadrant.
Okay,
yeah.
So either way, x is either root 3, no, plus or minus root 3, right?
It is not the exact reflection of this. It is not exactly reflection. We don't know that this angle is.
So it would actually be an exact reflection.
No.
The reflection won't it?
No. If this point lies on y equal to x, then it will be exact reflection. See this one.
Okay. None mind so.
Then it will be exact reflection. So it is not, right? So that's why you can see that I kept this point little above. Because I took the diagram little close to the actual diagram, I got like that. Right? Yeah, of course, my 90 degrees is not exactly 90, but still I could manage to get close to the real picture. So
okay, understood. So
yeah. So now
also you put a point on the y-axis to show that it's not straight. It's supposed to go higher. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Higher, and then so automatically the two answers, one should be in the second and one should be in fourth. In this, one is there in the third quadrant. This cannot be the answer. And in this, one is in the first quadrant, so this cannot be the answer. In this, of course, in this both are there in the first quadrant. Sorry, both are there in the second quadrant. This cannot be the answer. You can't have two answers in the second quadrant. One answer in the second quadrant and one answer in the fourth quadrant. That is happened only in this. Suppose you have two answers such that both of them or one of them in second quadrant, one of them in the fourth quadrant, then you need to worry about checking the magnitude or angle or properties or something. So this is what the use of elimination method. You can use the elimination and get the answer straight away. here the formula that I used is, I'll just write the formula as 1 plus cos A equal to 2 cos square A by 2. That's the formula I used here. So I replace 1 plus cos A with 2 cos square A by 2. About this formula, you learn in trigonometry. Just know that this formula is there in trigonometry. Next, sin A is 2 sin A by 2 cos A by 2. I use this formula for this. That's why that is replaced. The sin 3 pi by 8 is replaced with this. And the same I did for the denominator terms also. Right? If you accept this formula, then you will understand this step. After that, what I did is I took the 2 cos 3 pi by 16 common in the numerator and denominator. 2 cos 3 pi by 16 common in the numerator and 2 cos 3 pi by 16 common in the denominator. If you closely observe that, you can accept that statement. 2 cos 3 pi by 16, 2 cos 3 pi by 16 common in the numerator, I took that common. Denominator also is common, I took common. And I cancel 2 and I cancel that 3 cos 3 pi by 16. Right? And the next step.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we have a formula that cis theta 1. Cis theta is the short form of cos theta plus I sin theta. Cis theta 1 by cis theta 2 equal to cis of theta 1 minus theta 2. Very useful formula. We often use that in complex numbers. And at the same time, cis theta 1 into cis theta 2 equal to cis theta 1 plus theta 2. These two formulas we use regularly. So make a note of these two formulas. And I use the first formula. This is cis 3 pi by 16. This is cis minus 3 pi by 16. Cis 3 pi by 16. Denominator is cis minus 3 pi by 16. Now, if you use this formula, this will become cis of 3 pi by 16 minus 3 pi by 16 will be 3 pi by 16 plus 3 pi by 16. I wrote 6 pi by 16. We could write the entire calculation in terms of cis. That will be simpler. But you will be more confused with that cis than these properties. That's why I didn't use that strange notation for you. But like next problem onwards, you can use that cis directly. You'll be comfortable with that. So, yeah, the cos 3 pi by 16 plus I sin 3 pi by 16 is cis 3 pi by 16. You get cis 6 pi by 16 that I wrote the cis 6 pi by 16. I wrote as cos 3 pi by 16 plus I sin 3 pi by 16 whole power n, right? And I simplified this 6 and 16, 3 pi by 18. After this, continuous next step I wrote here. I used the De Moivre's theorem, which we already discussed. Cos theta plus I sin theta whole power n is cos n theta plus I sin n theta. Now, they want this number to be purely imaginary. What is purely imaginary number? Its real part should be 0. For a number to be purely imaginary, real part should be 0. For a number to be purely real, imaginary part should be 0. So I equated the real part to 0. Now, I can start my verification with a random number and then integers and then get the answer. But when the options are there, why to take that trouble and all? Directly you start with the least among the options, 2. I substituted 2 in it. 2 3s are 6. Cos 6 pi by 8 is cos 3 pi by 4, which is not 0. So that's why I eliminated the first option. Next, I verified 3. So cos 9 pi by 8, 9 pi by 8, cos 9 pi by 8 is not 0. I eliminated that. Next, 4 I substituted. Cos 3, 4 cancel in 8 2 times. Cos 3 pi by 2 I will get. Cos 3 pi by 2 is 0. Again, that you'll know from the trigonometry. So cos 3 pi by 2 is 0. That's why the 4th option. We need not worry about 8 pi by 8 when you substitute, you get 0 or not. Because if at all 8 satisfies the least one they're asking, that is 4. And that's the answer. Suppose z is equal to x plus iy you take. What they are given, we'll write x plus iy equal to minus conjugate of z is x minus iy. So which is equal to minus x plus iy. You need not to do anything, just simply write the meaning of this and you get x is equal to minus x. So the 2x is equal to 0, x is equal to 0, real part is 0, purely imaginary. Your answer is correct, but this is more convincing method.